Johan, I mean, these are very creative examples. We had a pajama breakfast meeting this morning, and I certainly like your no email policy. This is the second time we're hearing this. Somehow I still get more than 150 emails a day. So maybe we just want to say it again once more. And then we got someone commented that they do bi-weekly pop quizzes. I think that must be really fun. And then a question came from the audience: is how do you onboard new employees? Do you have any tips or thoughts about that? Not already in the structure and don't know the virtual team from pre-COVID days.
Yeah, that's an interesting one, and it's one of the things that the leaders are struggling with, and there's a lot of, I think, thought going around that. What I've picked up is the whole thing around formal introductions. When you get your employee in, is to let everybody come around and introduce themselves on the video, share who they are, what they can do, assign a buddy to that person, somebody that you think will work well. That works quite well at this stage. Is a buddy that can take the person through who's who in the zoo, how does the politics work, what is our culture code. And then the one thing that somebody also did is having a welcome party. So they have a session on the first day where everybody logs in, no work, it's just a welcome party where the leader actually had a glass of champagne at 10 o'clock in the morning. We won't go into that. But welcome, and this is who we are. And he made a big hoo-ha about this individual. He prompted the individual to say, we're going to ask you to share who you are. And they even asked them to share their life story, some photos of their childhood. Guys, there's a lot of stuff that people are doing out there. But I think it's getting them on board from day one, and in a fun way. I think that's working at this stage. The one thing that they do struggle with is getting to know the culture, but they do get to know the team culture. And we as individuals, but the buddy system works quite well. And that's what person looks after them. And they hand over from one to the other. So those are some of the stuff that I'm picking up that leaders are doing. And I think it works relatively well. I don't think it's perfect. I think we're still figuring that one out. All right, I just want to introduce the last concept. So there's a lot of stuff, guys. Go research leadership, virtual leadership. There's a lot of people that's coming out with tips and tools and plans. And what I'll do is I've recently come across a document about onboarding new employees with some nice tips. So I'll send that for you guys to send out to the guys as well. And I think there's a nice webinar also that I've got the link to. But I haven't focused on that myself a lot. But one thing that I did pick up a little while ago is from the guys from the HFM Talent Index. And they're bringing a different spin to virtual leadership to say, although we need to do all these other things, we need to deal with the challenges, we need to work on collaboration and all of that. There's another tool that they are bringing into the fray of leaders and say, as a leader, start thinking about learning agility and evaluating and looking at your own individuals' learning agility. When you start thinking, how do I need to lead these individuals? Remember I said, to lead them, you can't have the same approach for everybody. You have to slightly adjust your style. You need to understand what people are made of, what makes them tick. And I think if you look at the concept of learning agility and understand how quickly do your employees take on new experiences, how quickly do they become effective, how good are they with change and applying behavior when situations are changing. Guys, virtual working is one situation, and we're going to be stuck in this for a while. There's more changes going to come, technology changes and all of that. And they had an interesting concept when they said, as a leader, there's 5 elements that you can look at in terms of looking at my employees differently. And the learning agility is made out of these 5. The one that they're talking about is change agility. So if you start looking at your employees and you say, but let me look at my employees working for me and see what is their change agility. Does this individual have a high or a low or a medium change agility? And remember, change agility is that willingness to experiment, try new things, take on new accountabilities, comfortable with the way we're working now. I'm comfortable working in my pajamas. That's the change agility thing. And people with high change agility will find it easier to adapt to working remotely. So the guys that's high on this thing, they will quickly adapt to working remotely. They need less encouragement. They take a different approach to their work. They like trying new things. And sometimes they are also better prepared. So those are people that you may not have put so much work in terms of getting them comfortable, but working on the people that you believe have a lower change agility. How do you support them to do that? The second one that they're also talking about is mental agility. And this is good solving problems with a unique or unusual way. How are people approaching the problems that they face? How are they working in terms of their outcomes and delivering their performance? What are they struggling? How are they thinking about that? And again, if you have the employees at the high end of mental agility, they are keen to do their own thing and make decisions, and they don't simply accept things. And they even are willing to challenge you a little bit and say, whoa, this is my job, and why is this working like that, and how can we do that? So again, these are the guys you can use to train other people to be the buddy for somebody in terms of that. They read about things. They sort out stuff for themselves. They will research certain ideas. They are the people that's coming up with new ideas all the time. And you have people in your team that is strong in that area, and some is not that strong in that area. So you can also use that in terms of what are the types of jobs that I'm starting to give out? How do I involve people? Because it's easy to put somebody on the spot in a meeting and not thinking about, listen, are they mentally prepared for that? The third one they're talking about is people agility. Skilled communicators. This is the people that can really communicate well. They like chatting in, connecting with people. Great people to use as engagers, using them to get the meeting going, working around these type of things. They feel they're very opinionated in terms of it. They like pulling in people. And people with this high people agility are more likely to seek other people's inputs and seek that connectivity. So they will require more meetings, more chats with the boss, more fun. Where people with lower people agility will probably require less, and we have to be around those times. And then results agility. This is just doing their job. When working remotely, people with this high results agility, they monitor their objectives, and for them, achievement is very important. You can help them by setting challenging targets, making sure that I understand this person really is a driver, they like performance. So I can maybe give them a bit more. But there are people with a lower results agility that's struggling with something a little bit. And maybe just take the pressure a little bit off. So it's about understanding where these guys are. And then obviously there's self-awareness. This is the extent to which individuals know their own strengths and weaknesses. How do you as a leader build that self-awareness? Help them to develop their weaknesses over this. And again, you guys on the higher end of self-awareness, they probably address their own self-development. They will do research and go online courses and seek out how to develop their skills. They are curious about what's happening and how can they adapt to all of this. They're open for feedback. They want to have a purpose in life. And they know what they're good at and what they're not good at, and they're vocal about it. But there's other people that's sitting back and saying, how do I move forward in my career? I'm not sure about this, and how do we help this? So guys, this is a new concept that came out in the last couple of weeks. And I just wanted to leave it there in terms of, as a leader, just start thinking about your employees a little bit differently and saying, but listen, I need to enhance my knowledge about each individual and where they are, how they fit in from a change, mental perspective. Who's the people that's more focused on interaction? Who's the results people? And I really implore you to go, the link is on there. Go into that. There's a nice document around that. And it really gives you a different perspective in terms of how do you approach these individuals. There's some coaching tips in there in terms of how you can use that in terms of the different high, level, low on these things. But I think that's a key thing in terms of going forward for us to survive virtually, is that ability to learn and be agile in our learning in terms of how do we adapt to certain things. And obviously, as leaders, we need to drive that. So this is a new concept. I'm still exploring this. I wanted to leave it out there as a thought. And I really encourage you to go research this a little bit further. The link is in there. And I will also, if you want this availability, there is a document that we have, but it's downloadable from the internet, from that website that's on there. And for me, this is starting to make sense. I'm still figuring out how to apply this practically back. But as I'm sharing this with leaders, it's starting to make sense and build in our eyes. It's something that we maybe can explore on the next session to just talk about this and how does we use learning agility in the virtual world. Guys, I want to close. For me, that's it. I hope we made some inroads. Make every interaction count, even the small ones. They're all relevant.
Awesome, Johan. That was a very dense, action-packed presentation. Thank God we have the recording, because there was a lot more that you spoke about that wasn't on the slides. And I think it's going to be worthwhile for us to go back and listen to it in slow motion. A lot of practical tips, and creativity is required. I like the reminder around self-awareness. I think one of my past bosses might be on this call, and one of his special themes was self-awareness. And of course, in this virtual world, that is probably quite challenging, having to read the feedback and develop self-awareness in a virtual space or virtual void at times. Great. So I think that brings us to the end. All, thank you very much for your support, for attending, and for investing the time in this. I think it's been very insightful, instructional, and particularly it will help us apply it. There's a lot of stuff we can apply right from the word go. So Johan, thank you very much. Thanking everyone, and just remember, the only thing that is constant is change. We don't know what change is happening, so don't invest your time in mastering things of the past. Invest in an agile mindset and agility. So we're here to help you do that, and we always enjoy having you on this program, on our weekly programs, and we will continue the series with interesting topics. Okay.